The moment you open your mouth to explain yourself, you have already lost. Picture it. The accusation lands. A subtle jab at a dinner party. A questioning of your competence in a meeting. A lover twisting your words. You feel the heat rise in your chest. The cortisol spikes. Your brain screams that you are being misunderstood, that the truth is being distorted, that you must correct the record immediately. So you speak, you clarify, you justify, you offer context, and in that exact second you have handed them your throat. Because the world does not judge you by the truth of your words. It judges you by the desperation of your delivery. The one who explains is the one who submits. The one who defends is the one who accepts the other person's authority to judge them. Niccolo Machiavelli, the master of power dynamics, understood a brutal truth that modern society has tried to breed out of you. He knew that power is not about being right. It is about who holds the frame. And the moment you defend yourself, you step into their frame. You become the defendant in their courtroom. But what if you didn't? What if when the attack comes, you did the one thing that terrifies a manipulator more than anything else? Most people go through life as emotional puppets. They are pulled by the strings of other people's opinions. Someone frowns. They apologize. Someone accuses. They explain. They live in a constant state of reactive defense, trying to prove they are good, smart, or worthy. It is a miserable way to exist. It is a slow suffocation of the soul. But there is a different way. A way of moving through the world that is so detached, so sovereign, and so psychologically impenetrable that insults do not just bounce off you. They dissolve before they even touch you. This is not about being cold. It is not about being arrogant. It is about a fundamental shift in where you derive your reality. Today we are going to dissect the psychology of the non-defense. We are going to look at why your biology betrays you in these moments and how to override it with a strategy that Machiavelli would have whispered to a prince. I am going to show you how to flip the power dynamic instantly, how to make the attacker doubt their own sanity, how to use silence not as an absence of noise but as a weapon of mass destruction against someone's ego. But be warned, this requires you to kill a part of yourself that you have been feeding since you were a child, the part of you that begs to be understood, the part of you that needs permission. If you can kill that need, you become dangerous. You become untouchable. Let's begin. So why do you do it? Why, when someone challenges you, is your first instinct to provide evidence of your innocence? It starts in childhood. Think back when you were 5 years old and a parent or a teacher accused you of something. What was the only way to escape punishment? Explanation. I didn't break it. It fell. I didn't hit him. He hit me first. You learn that authority figures hold the power of judgment, and you learn that your survival depended on convincing that authority figure that you were good. The problem is you grew up, but your psyche didn't. You are walking around the world projecting that authority figure onto everyone you meet. Your boss, your partner, the stranger on the internet, even your enemies. When you defend yourself against someone, you are subconsciously saying, "You are the judge. I am the child. Please accept my plea so I can feel safe again." It reeks of weakness. And human beings, primal as we are, can smell that scent of submission from a mile away. Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved." Now translate that to modern social dynamics. It is much safer to be respected than understood. When you rush to defend, you are prioritizing being understood over being respected. You are saying, "Please get me. Please see my intent." But a king does not explain his decree to the peasant. A lion does not explain its hunt to the gazelle. The moment you start rambling, giving reasons, showing texts, bringing up past events to prove your point, you have signaled that your internal stability depends on their agreement. You have given them the key to your house. And once they have that key, they can trash the place whenever they want. This is the trap of the validating self. You believe that if you just explain it clearly enough, they will say, "Oh, I see now. You are right. I was wrong." How often does that actually happen? Almost never, because the attack was never about the facts. It was about the power. They didn't accuse you because they wanted the truth. They accused you to see if you would jump, and you jumped. The first step to becoming untouchable is to realize that the courtroom does not exist. There is no judge. There is no jury. There is only you and your perception of reality. When you stop treating other people like judges, their accusations stop sounding like sentences. They start so, ending like opinions. and opinions are just noise. So what happens when you don't jump? Imagine the scenario. Someone throws a verbal spike at you. You're being incredibly selfish right now. The old you would say, "No, I'm not. I did X, Y, and Z for you yesterday. I'm just tired, defensive, weak, reactive." Now, imagine the Machiavellian approach. They say, "You're being incredibly selfish right now." You look at them. You hold eye contact. You don't blink. You keep your face completely neutral. You let the silence hang in the air for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Do you know what happens in that silence? It is a psychological vacuum. The human brain is terrified of silence during conflict. It signals a rupture in the social fabric. It signals that the other person is not playing the game. When you stay silent, you are mirroring their energy back at them. You are forcing them to sit in the tension they created. Usually they will start to crumble. They will speak again to fill the void. I mean, you're not always selfish, but just right now. Why are you looking at me like that? They start defending themselves against your silence. The power has flipped. This is the gray rock method taken to a weaponized level. You become a void. A void cannot be attacked. You cannot punch mist. You cannot cut water. By refusing to provide the resistance of defense, you cause their attack to pass right through you and unbalance them. This requires immense internal control because inside your ego is screaming, "Fight back. Say something clever. You must leash that dog." Machiavelli knew that the most powerful person in the room is the one who cannot be read. If you defend, you reveal your values. You reveal what hurts you. You reveal your buttons. "I'm not stupid," you shout. Now they know your insecurity is intelligence. "I'm not a bad person." Now they know your insecurity is moral standing. Silence reveals nothing. It is a dark mirror, and when they look into it, they only see their own aggression reflected back, and it makes them uncomfortable. It makes them feel judged, which is ironic because you haven't said a word. Sometimes silence is not enough. Sometimes a situation requires words but never defensive words. If you must speak, you never push back against the force. You pull it. You use the aikido conversation. There is a concept in dark psychology called agree and amplify. It creates a state of cognitive dissonance in the attacker. If someone accuses you of something absurd, defending yourself validates the absurdity. It suggests the accusation is serious enough to warrant a response. Instead, you lean into it. You exaggerate it until it becomes a caricature. Attacker, you are so obsessed with money. You're greedy, defensive. No, I'm not. I just want to provide for my family. Boring, predictable, weak, Machiavellian. You caught me. I actually swim in a vault of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck every Tuesday. It's terrible for my back. You say it with a flat face or a slight amused smirk. What have you done here? You refuse to be insulted. You proved you are not insecure about the topic. You turned their serious attack into a joke. You establish that you are the one framing the reality, not them. This strips the attacker of their weapon. They wanted to hurt you. Instead, you took their knife and started peeling an apple with it. It signals amused mastery. Amused mastery is the ultimate state of high status. It is the attitude of a parent watching a toddler throw a tantrum. You don't get angry at the toddler. You don't argue with the toddler. You are amused by the drama because you know you are safe. When you defend yourself, you are getting down on the floor and screaming with the toddler. Don't do that. Stand up. Look down. Smile. Robert Greene in the 48 Laws of Power talks about Law 25, recreate yourself. Part of that is refusing the identity others try to thrust upon you. When they label you, they are trying to put you in a box. If you fight the box, you are still interacting with the box. If you mock the box, you dissolve it. You're arrogant. I prefer the term charmingly confident, but sure, you don't care about anyone but yourself. I'm working on it. I'll add you to the list of people I care about next year. It is savage, it is dismissive, and it is incredibly attractive. Why? Because it shows you are whole. You do not need their validation to know who you are. A person who knows they are generous laugh when called stingy. A person who knows they are smart laugh when called stupid. If you are defending, it is because deep down you fear they might be right. And that is the shadow work you must do. Let's go deeper into the philosophy of the interaction. Every conversation has a metastructure, a hidden architecture. In a conflict, there's usually a judge and defendant. The judge asks questions. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? Who do you think you are? The defendant answers. I did it because I was thinking. Had whoever is asking the questions hold the power. Whoever is answering is losing status. The most lethal Machiavellian trick is to simply refuse a role of defendant and seize a role of judge. You do this by answering a question with a question or by analyzing their behavior instead of your own. Why are you always so late? Defensive. There was traffic and my alarm didn't go off. Losing Machiavellian you. Why does my arrival time affect your mood so deeply? Boom. Do you see the shift? Suddenly, we are not talking about the clock. We are talking about their emotional stability. We are talking about their reaction. You have put the spotlight back on them. You're being ridiculous. Machiavellian, what makes you feel the need to use labels like that to get your point across? You are psychoanalyzing them in real time. This is infuriating to a manipulator. They want you on your back foot. Instead, you are walking around them, observing them like a specimen in a jar. It's interesting that you perceive it that way. Does saying that make you feel better? You seem very invested in this. These phrases are shields. They acknowledge the sound coming out of the other person's mouth, but they do not accept the content. It is a boundary, a verbal force field. You are saying this is your stuff, not mine. Keep it. This is not just a technique. It is a spiritual stance. It is a realization that other people's perceptions of you are none of your business. Their anger is their problem. Their disappointment is their responsibility to manage. When you defend, you are trying to carry their emotional baggage for them. You are trying to fix their feelings. Stop it. Let them carry their own weight. Now for the paradox, sometimes the most aggressive, defensive, power-flipping move you can make is to agree, but not the way you think. This is not the agreement of submission. It is the agreement of the abyss. Imagine someone is screaming at you. They are listing your flaws. They are trying to provoke a fight. You look them in the eye and say calmly, "You're right." And then you stop talking. "You're right. I am difficult sometimes. You're right. I did mess that up." This is a fogging technique. When you throw a rock into a fog bank, what happens? Nothing. No thud, no rebound. It just disappears. When you agree with an attacker, you steal their momentum. They are pushing against the door, expecting it to be locked. When you open the door, they fall on their face. They want to fight. They want resistance. Resistance validates their anger. Agreement neutralizes it. But here's the nuance. You must agree with the truth in their statement without accepting the shame they are trying to attach to it. There is a difference between admitting a mistake and accepting a character assassination. You messed up this report. You're incompetent. Defense. I'm not incompetent. The data was wrong. Power move. You're right. The report has errors. I'll fix it. Notice what was left out. You didn't address the incompetent part. You ignored the insult and addressed the fact. You took ownership of the action but not the identity. This signals immense confidence. Only a person who is secure in their competence can admit a mistake so easily. Insecure people fight to the death to prove they didn't make a mistake. Secure people say, "Oops, my bad," and move on. Machiavelli would call this disarming the enemy. If you lay down your sword, they look foolish holding theirs. It takes the wind out of their sails. It makes them look hysterical and you look grounded. And in the long run, history is written by the grounded. None of this works if it is just a tactic. If you are using these lines but your voice is shaking or your eyes are darting around or your energy is screaming "please like me," it will fail. Dark psychology is 20% words and 80% nonverbal frame. You have to build the internal architecture to support the silence. This brings us back to the shadow. Why does it hurt when they attack you? Because they are touching a wound that is already there. If I tell you you have green skin, you won't get mad. You'll think I'm crazy. You won't defend yourself. You'll laugh. But if I tell you you are a failure and you defend yourself, it's because a part of you suspects I might be right. The ultimate defense is not a verbal technique. It is self-knowledge. It is looking into your own darkness, owning your own flaws, and accepting your own shadow. When you know you are capable of selfishness and someone calls you selfish, you say sometimes yes. When you know you are capable of cruelty and someone calls you cruel, you say I can be. You cannot shame a man who has already accepted himself. You cannot expose a woman who has nothing left to hide. This is what it means to be untouchable. It means you have integrated the parts of yourself that others try to use against you. You become transparent. The light passes through. The arrows pass through. You are no longer AF.